Islamic versus Atlantic slave trades, myths versus reality. When we think of the slave trade, most minds leap to images of wooden ships crossing the Atlantic, chains, sugar plantations, and the horrors of the Middle Passage. And yes, those horrors were real. But the Atlantic system was not the only one. For over 1,000 years before Columbus ever set sail, another slave trade was already reshaping continents. The Islamic slave trade. From the 7th century onward, millions were taken from Africa, Eastern Europe, the Caucasus, Central Asia, and even India. Not in a single burst, but in a steady, relentless flow that lasted more than a millennium. Caravans of captives crossed the Sahara. Ships ferried them across the Red Sea and Indian Ocean. Men were often destined for military service or brutal labor. Women, for harems, concubinage, and domestic servitude. And here's where the contrasts begin. In the Atlantic trade, most enslaved men were forced into agriculture, and women, though far fewer in number, worked alongside them. In the Islamic world, men were often castrated, erasing the possibility of descendants. Women were absorbed into households, sometimes bearing children who could rise to high positions, but only because their mothers remained property. The scale is hard to compare directly. The Atlantic slave trade transported roughly 12 million Africans in 4 centuries. The Islamic trade's numbers are debated, some estimates run just as high, spread over 1,300 years, but records are fragmentary, and the dead from Saharan crossings, desert marches, and castration go mostly uncounted. Mortality rates? Both systems were merciless. The Middle Passage killed perhaps 15 to 20% of its captives. The trans-Saharan routes may have claimed far more: thirst, starvation, and violence, cutting down untold thousands before they even reached a slave market. And then there's the afterlife of each system. The Atlantic trade left behind vast populations of descendants. The African diaspora, from Brazil to the Caribbean to North America. The Islamic trade left fewer visible traces, because so many enslaved men could not reproduce, and children of enslaved women were often absorbed into the dominant culture, their origins erased. History textbooks often pit these systems against each other, as if acknowledging one somehow diminishes the cruelty of the other. But both were vast machines of human exploitation, built on profit, power, and the belief that some lives could be owned. If the Atlantic trade was a brutal storm, short, sharp, and devastating, the Islamic trade was a slow, grinding tide that reshaped shores for over a millennium. And both remind us, no empire, no civilization, no faith is innocent when it comes to the story of slavery. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon, like and share this video.